Have you ever noticed how the first 30 to 45 minutes of waking up sets the tone for the rest of the day? I mean, the way that you wake up, the thoughts that you have, what you consume, they're not random, but it also hijacks the rest of your day. It creates the energy, the thoughts, the intention that continue throughout the day. Hi, I'm Dr. Asha. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Real Talk. We talked about last week about how this is a good time, 5.5 months into the year, to do a check in with yourself to find out if what you're doing, how you're living your life, how you're achieving your goals, if it's working for you in all aspects of your well-being, whether it's professional or personal. And today I want to talk about something that ties into that, but it's also something that has deeply impacted my own life and also many of the clients that I've worked with whenever they have designed a daily morning ritual. Now, I'm not talking about another productivity hack. I'm not talking about having a daily ritual that's just a check, a to-do list, a check off your list. It's about creating something that's going to bring more alignment to your mind, body, and spirit, to be more intentional, more energizing, something that will really set the foundation for you to take into your day before the world has a chance to pull you in 1,000 different directions, which we all have. By the end of this video, I want you to understand why the morning matters more than probably you ever realized. And with both science and spiritual wisdom to back that up, it's and how you can build a healthy ritual that works for you. Okay, so let's get into it. Let me start with a question. What are you going to do tomorrow morning when your alarm clock goes off? What have you done up until now? What's your go-to? What I have seen is that more than likely people either check their phone, they immediately check their phone, or they hit snooze a bunch of times, or they jump into autopilot and just jump up, go to the coffee maker, get some coffee, and they are just in autopilot, not really thinking too much about how they're feeling or getting into the body, none of that. And none of these are going to be detrimental to your day whatsoever. But I want to talk to you about what's going on underneath the surface of that. When you wake up, okay, your brain, according to neuroscientists, your brain is what they call in a hypnagogic state. Now, what that is a transitional zone between sleep and being fully awake. This is why we can feel very groggy in the morning when we wake up. And your brain waves are still cycling through the alpha and theta frequencies at this time. Now, what does that mean? This is one of the most receptive, creative, spiritually open states that your mind is the entire day. So whatever you feed your awareness in that in those first moments becomes the anchor of your entire day. This is why, from a physiological standpoint, why that's so important. So you have to think about your morning like a foundation of a house. If the foundation is shaky or unstable, it's kind of rushed, activated, flooded with stress, flooded with the to-do list, and just overwhelmed, everything you build on top of that is going to be unstable. As opposed to if you lay a solid foundation, an intentional foundation, everything that follows is going to be clearer, it's going to be stronger, it's going to be more aligned with what you are wanting to create for your day. There's a science here that is worth understanding underneath this, and that's about the hormone cortisol. Cortisol is it's primary the waking hormone, if you will. It peaks naturally within 30 to 45 minutes after waking. So that cortisol awakening response, it's actually your body's built-in energy booster. This is why whenever we're under high stress, you probably have heard about cortisol being high because we're always kind of on. And the problem is that most of us immediately after waking, we hijack this by flooding the nervous system with anxiety of emails, to-do lists, maybe even notifications, bad news, arguments, whatever it may be. We take our body's own energizing system, that response, and we turn it against itself, which is not what we're wanting to do. From a more spiritually connected perspective, if you think about it, nearly every wisdom or tradition in the world treats the morning as sacred. In Ayurveda, They call the pre-dawn hours the Brahma Muhurta, and that's like the creator's hour, the most spiritually potent time of the day. Now, when I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about feeling connected to yourself, feeling connected to a higher purpose. Okay, so but when you look at different religions around the world, Sufi, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, all these traditions have specific morning rituals, sun salutations, morning prayers, whatever it is. And there's a reason why, because they look at it as that morning is a threshold that you cross over into your day. And the way that you cross over, it really matters. It's not just about being more productive. It's an energy code actually that you're writing for your day, for your body, your mind, your spirit. You're setting intentions before anything external can impact that. Working over the years, and not only working with other clients, but also for myself, some of the things that I realized, because working with my other clients, one of the things that I've realized is that I work with a variety of people, busy parents, executives, healthcare workers, people that are in the middle of a health crisis. And I found that most of the powerful rituals that we have been able to create for them has they've had kind of some essential elements that are very similar. And I want to share those with you today. It doesn't need to take a long time. One of the biggest pushbacks that I get from people when I say, set up a morning ritual, they say, "Oh, I don't have time for that." Well, we all have about 15 to 20 minutes in the morning that we're already doing things in the morning. Why don't we do it with intention? So let's get into this. I want to share these elements with you. The first one is awakening. So this is the conscious act of arriving into the body before you do anything else. The most powerful version of this is, taking 3 deep intentional breaths into your body before you even move. In and out. Just 3 breaths where you are, choosing to arrive in your day rather than being dragged into it. Okay? Some of my clients add a body scan to this as well, and maybe you've done that before. That's also something you can say a single word to yourself. You can say, peace, presence. You can practice gratitude. Some whisper a mantra for the day. I am grounded. I'm open. I'm ready for today, or whatever it may be. Whatever it is, this awakening activates the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the body's rest and digest mode. So it signals safety for the body and the mind to meet your day's demands. The second element is hydration. Now, this one is non-negotiable from every angle that you look at. Scientifically, psychologically, physiologically, energetically. After 7 to 9 hours of sleeping without water, your body is in a mild dehydration state. So you want to drink water. Even a 1 to 2% drop in hydration has been measured scientifically. It reduces cognitive function, mood regulation, and physical energy. So starting your day with a glass or two of water, ideally, if you can, with a pinch of sea salt for electrolytes, okay, or squeeze some lemon in your water to stimulate your digestion. It's like flipping on a power switch for your entire system. Now, I know most people go and grab a cup of coffee first. I'm going to say water before coffee and water before food. Water is always going to be your first go to. Okay. The next element is movement, not a full workout. If you want to do a full workout, please, by all means, do it. If you have the time, you have the energy to do it, that's fine. But intentional movement that wakes up the body, circulating your energy and your life force. 5 minutes of stretching or sun salutations or rebounding, jumping on a trampoline or a brisk walk around the block, whatever it is to wake up, do jumping jacks. You can do jumping jacks in place, or do whatever it is that you can do to dancing. I love to dance, for example. Dancing to a really great song in your kitchen, that's also movement. The purpose is to move the stagnation, to get your energy flowing so that way you can feel yourself come alive. You can feel yourself wake up. The next element is stillness. Now, this is where that sense of connection, sense of purpose comes into place, that spiritual dimension. And I asked one of my clients to protect at least, 5 or 10 minutes of their day for stillness. And they didn't understand this. I remember this specifically with this one client I worked with just a few months ago. And once she started doing it, she said, "Okay, I'll do it, but I don't really get it." It's because it's usually where we push back because we're like, "What am I gonna do? I don't have time to sit down for 5 or 10 minutes." But here's what I've learned. Whenever people say that to me, it's because they really do need it the most. Stillness takes lots of different forms. You can meditate, you can do breath work, you can do prayer, you can journal, you can simply sit and enjoy your cup of tea and look out, and watch the light change. You can watch the sunrise, depending on what time you're getting up. Whatever it is, when you're creating this pause between your sleeping world and the noise of the day, makes a huge difference and doesn't have to take hours. I mean, it really doesn't. It's where your intuition speaks to you. It's where you get more clarity, you get ideas, you get intentions. You get so much in those 5 to 10 minutes. The last element is nourishment. Okay, so both mental and physical. I'm talking about for mental nourishment, choose what you consume in your first waking hours. Don't go for the social media and for the bad news and all of these things. Don't do that. Find things that are inspiring to you, that uplift you, whether it's a piece of music, whether it is a text that you like to read, whatever it may be. Focus on things that inspire you. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it's, a certain program, whatever it is. For physical nourishment, I'm talking about your first meal of your day. Make sure that you're prioritizing protein for your energy and your focus. Have healthy fiber and fats so that way you can stabilize your sugars. Feed your mind and body what it needs, the nourishment that it needs. So we've talked about awakening, hydration, movement, stillness, and nourishment. Okay, these are the 5 elements. If you do this with intention, it can take 20 minutes, 15 minutes even, and it'll transform the quality of your days. It's something about this that really, I want to talk about ritual, because this is something that I get a lot of question about. When I talk about a morning ritual, um, there's a difference between a routine and ritual. Okay. The difference between a routine and ritual is really the meaning of it. A routine is automatic. And of course, things will become automatic. But a ritual is where you're more aware and conscious of it. When you approach your morning as a sacred time and you treat it that way, your daily ceremony, you're choosing who you are. You're choosing who you want to be, and something shifts about the quality of everything that follows, which is very different than a routine. In Ayurvedic medicine, it's one of the oldest healing systems. That 90-minute window that we talked about earlier before sunrise is described as the most spiritually receptive that's available to all human beings. So that sense of connection, the sense of purpose, the mind is uncluttered, the world is quiet. I love that time of the day. Whatever you think, you pray on, you intend, it amplifies it. And in a lot of ancient traditions, I mean, the rising of the sun is really worshiped actually and embodied. We embody the acknowledgement of life and gratitude and belonging. I mean, how is that not going to change our day? The common thread through all these traditions is that the morning is the threshold that we cross over. It's it's the moment of your genuine choice. It's your choice point of the day. You're choosing, who am I going to be today? What energy am I going to bring to every conversation, every relationship today? And that's not a small thing because that is a sacred responsibility actually that we have. That is why whenever I speak about spiritual energy, I'm not talking about abstract or inaccessible things or religion. I'm talking about, taking this knowledge within you, the part of you that has a purpose, and connecting to something larger than yourself. It does change with that intentionality. It does change the way you see and approach your day, and it keeps you from getting scattered. This is how you come home to yourself. This is how you stay grounded. You stay centered within yourself. Now, how do you actually build a morning ritual that will sustain you, one that fits you? I mean, your life, your beautiful, imperfect life. First, we have to see when your waking time is, okay? Because I know not everybody is a 5 a.m. wake up person. You may actually be depleting your energy if you do that, okay? So you need to work with your biology. Start with also learning that about yourself and figuring out when the best time for your chronotype, when is the best time for you to sleep. To sleep and wake up. Okay. That's going to be very important. The next thing is start with 15 to 20 minutes. I don't want you to start with 2 hours. Let's say 15 minutes initially. Okay. The most common mistake that I see when people are trying to build a morning ritual is that they try to do like this long, extended version of this. And it doesn't need to be. 15 intentional minutes is infinitely more powerful and is perfect. I mean, it's just perfect for you to fit that in to build the habit for me because we have to build the habit as well. The next thing that I would say is that after you've, got that down, you've set that, the anchoring the new practices to what already exists. So if you're already making coffee every morning, for example, let that act be part of this ritual. Make it a conscious act. The warmth of the cup, really noticing the smell, taking in the moment of the quiet before the day begins. You're not adding to your life. I want you to transform what you already have in place because I know all of you have a certain morning ritual already. And you want to protect this time for yourself, like just like it's a communication with yourself. It's important to communicate with the people in your home that this is a very sacred time. Make it conscious, make it going to bed a time that is sacred to you, waking up, keeping your phone on airplane mode during this ritual time. Your energy is not optional. You need to be present. Make that known to and communicate to your loved ones that are living in the house as well. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to adjust your every month or so, every month and a half, I want you to evaluate and adjust, add a new ritual in place of something else. So give practicing gratitude a try, for example, instead of meditating. See how your energy is by the mid morning. See what works for you. How is your mood? Track this. Am I making better decisions? Am I calmer? Am I thinking more clearly? Am I feeling more energized and inspired? Check in with yourself because this is very, very important. I mean, I know that sometimes, being present is a challenge sometimes. A word of gratitude and an intention throughout the day can make a very, very big change for you. A sample of a ritual, okay? Just if you're struggling with this, I want to talk to you about this. You know, just think about like in a 25-minute ritual, for example. You want to say like the first 3 minutes you want to be doing conscious breathing, 3 breaths in and out in the bed before you even get out of bed. Saying a word of gratitude or maybe, gratitude for 3 different things. Setting an intention for a day. The next few minutes, drinking your water, sit with it, be present, take it all in. The next, is about movement. The next few minutes is taking a short walk, doing some yoga, doing some stretches. Then you want to do the next minutes for stillness, meditation, journaling, whatever it may be, prayer, breath work. And then maybe taking a few minutes to read a page of something meaningful, something that really inspires you. And then beginning to prepare that nourishing breakfast of yours. And that is your solid foundation. It doesn't have to be complicated. I don't want you to complicate this at all. Before we close, I do want to talk today about some mistakes that I want you to try to avoid. Because I've seen this, I have made these mistakes. I have seen my clients make these mistakes. Number one, is touching your phone first. The single most effective way to destroy your morning energy is to grab for your phone and open up your email or social media. It gives your attention, your energy goes out the door. It's your cortisol will spike immediately too, and your mind begins problem solving. It's like you get out of that creative, receptive state immediately. It's gone within 30 seconds. We don't want to do that. So keep your phone outside the bedroom. And if you can't do that, at a minimum, on airplane mode next to your bed or whatever until your ritual is complete. Okay. Um, you need to also make your ritual yours. You see a lot of viral videos, you see a lot of videos of people saying you need to do this, this, and this. You need to do what works for you. Otherwise, you may be copying somebody else's ritual and it does not work for you. And you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get discouraged, and it may be working against you. So the morning ritual is yours and yours only. Okay. The other thing is treating your ritual as a productivity strategy. I don't want this to be a to do list. I don't want this to be something that you're putting on top of everything else that you need to do, because that really does not help you to build the solid foundation, and it doesn't help you in starting your day in a calm, peaceful way. Okay. Productivity comes from doing these rituals. Okay. You will get more focus. You will make better decisions. Those are byproducts of the presence that you will have during your daily ritual. What I want you to take with you today is that your morning ritual is not about doing more. Okay. It's not about doing more before 8 a.m. It's about becoming who you already are. It's about connecting with yourself, being grounded, more energized, more clear, more connected to a bigger purpose. This week, what I would like for you to do is I want you to pick one thing, okay, one of the elements that we talked about, whether it's, awakening, hydration, movement, stillness, or nourishment. And I want you to practice with full intention every single morning for 7 days that one thing, not perfectly, but intentionally. Okay. And notice what shifts in your life. And drop a comment. Tell me in the comments. I read all the comments. So please tell me, which element are you starting with and how did it go? I'm curious to hear about this. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate this. Be sure to share this with someone who's maybe running on empty. Maybe they're not a morning person. They don't have good mornings. They're not having a good time. Share this with them. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. I really appreciate you being here. Um, Next week, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into sleep, which I think is a very important topic for us to talk about. And I wish you a great week. Have fun with this. And I look forward to connecting with you next time.